Alright guys, welcome to the devlog of the task tracking app. I spent the last few days building a task tracking web app. It's like a simple concept, just like a simple to-do list. I use React for the front end, Next.js for the framework, and Supabase for the back end for storing the tasks and for authentication. Alright, this is what the app looks like right now. This is the production link. I can sign up a user called Sam Altman. The password is gonna be the username. I'm gonna sign him up. Let's make a task. For example, the first task is to build AGI. The description is to use custom ASIC, add a task. The second one is make lunch. Notice I want pasta, add a task. The third task is to relax. How to relax, play some Valorant. Beautiful way to relax. The last task of the day is to sleep. I will sleep for 4 hours. Add a task. Beautiful. Alright, let's say I close the app and I want to reopen the app. How do I do that? Well, it is actually able to, I can just copy the link, open up a new private window. I can log in. Sam Altman, log in. Beautiful, my tasks are all saved. Even if I log out, log back in again. I can finish the task, for example. Let's say the first thing I do today is make lunch. Alright. The sorted task, the finished tasks are on the bottom. I finished sleeping first in the day, for example. Let's say I finished sleeping and just delete a task, realize place of balance, done, delete a task. Yeah, that's it. And I can also see all the tasks in Supabase and all the authentication emails here. The hard part of the project was to start because I always thought building an actual app is so hard. It's not that hard, especially with AI. More about AI. I originally wrote most of the app, at least the first half, by hand. I was grinding through the logic, only to use AI with styling, and because I wanted to understand what I was building, I should actually learn it. But on the second half, especially when I was adding the task and deleting the task from the database for user authentication for cookies to keep the user stayed in the session, I was I don't know what I'm doing at that point, so I just asked AI, write me a function to add a row in the table or run a logic function, and then AI was writing the most important part of the most important code of the whole project, and I don't understand what it wrote. It just gave a function with user ID of the string and it just worked. So also I spent the last 2 months just learning the most basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then learn React, and then learn Next.js just by Code Academy's courses. It's online courses. This task tracking app, although it's stupid simple, it took me 4 or 5 days to build. And what's really scary is I could just open up Cursor and type in make me a to-do list at WebApp, and it'll build the entire thing in less than 30 seconds. It's I don't think it actually outcompete AI at this point. It's really demoralizing. I don't think I can get an internship or get a job if AI is just so good at coding. At least for just simple things like this. So I don't know if I'll just keep polishing this product. It's just a simple to-do list. I originally was thinking, oh, I gotta connect to Canvas so I can see my homework assignments on this web app. But I don't think I actually want to do this right now. I'm just probably gonna move on to the next project. I had this idea of having an app that could filter the news for you, to filter some unbiased news and the news that you're interested in. Something like a web crawler to just scrape the news. I think front end is really hard to compete with AI. I came up with this idea so I could program something in a system way instead of just just front end and back end. I'm hopefully gonna use some AI features to either filter the news or to summarize the news feed for you. So yeah, just something on my mind right now. Alright, what's up everyone? Today we're back and we're gonna make a task tracking app.
the front end is gonna be React. I'm gonna also try to use Next.js and Supabase for the back end. I was debating between using Vite or Next.js. Then I was thinking, if I want to make something actually bigger, that, for example, for a task tracking app, if I can connect to Canvas, using Canvas LMS to actually see my homework, it's better to use Next.js as it handles both front-end and back-end. But all my previous knowledge is using React and Vite, so sometimes I should have used server actions, but I'm just using use client all the time. You'll see what I'm saying when I'm actually explaining what I currently have. So this is currently my task tracking app. It is really primitive. It has a title. This is an add task. This is like just a simple form. Currently the add button does not work. I set, for testing purposes on the left side, I set up a simple, and I have a dummy task list. Where this is my main page. Currently the main page is an unordered list that we has, as you remember 5 seconds ago, it is a list of hard-coded task objects. I'm gonna map over the array. For each single task, I'm gonna create a task item. The key is used to identify which item it is, and the task is just task, the prop. And inside the task item, it is actually a list item. List item is composed of first a checkbox, and then the name of the task and a span. If you look at the right side, there's a checkbox here. If I click on it, it doesn't work. I don't know why yet, I'll figure that out. And there's a name of the task. My current idea is when I click the checkbox, it should trigger this toggle task function. And this is actually the toggle task function. This whole thing is a custom hook in React. Using the useState hook, and the tasks and set tasks is initialized to dummy task, which is the array of hard-coded tasks. And it has two functions in here. The first is add task. It takes the title of the task, which is imported here, and the description of the task. The description optional, it is inputted in this form here. And basically we have to first make a new task here, and a set task. So set task basically means take everything before, which is an old task, you spread it, and you put the new task that I just created here as the first element of the task array. The second function is toggle task, which takes an ID. Note that ID is a random generated string to identify like which task it is. You want to use a random string because, for example, if you have two tasks with the same name, like if you have to do homework twice, it cannot really tell what the difference is between those two. So we want to use an ID instead of a title of the task. And I believe the ID is a random string. Yes, it's here. So toggle task basically just takes an ID, and set tasks, this is a list of all tasks. We have to map it to find. With the map, the first parameter takes is a single task, and it basically, this is an arrow function saying like, oh, look over all the tasks for each task. If the task ID equals to the ID that we put in, if it is true, then copy the object with all the props before. I forgot like an object. So basically like we copy all the description, ID, user ID, title. The only thing we change is the is completed. If it is completed, we change it to not completed. Otherwise, we just like keep it as is. and then we return these two functions, task, add task, call task. And then let me think a little, I forgot where it is. And then in task item for each individual list item, the onChange function is just like, oh, toggle task. So theoretically, when I click this, it should work. I don't know why that when I click it, the checkbox, it doesn't even click it right now. Alright guys, so I just figured out how to toggle the tasks as seen here. The reason it didn't work before is I was using the same prop names, like here, I'm not sure if you guys can see. Let me zoom in a little. Right now it says toggle equals toggle task, where toggle task is a hook. Previously I was using toggle task equals toggle task. I was naming them the same, so it did not work. So right now, this is the main page. I have an order list and I have each individual task items. And I have a toggle prop. And right here for each individual task item, the toggle prop gets passed down to onChange. That takes in the task ID. So when I click the checkbox, it is onChange. So it toggles it and is complete or not. And if you look at the bottom, the task title has the tailwind CSS that checks if it is complete or not. If it is complete, it clicks a line through it. If it's not complete, it is blank. So when I toggle it, it gives this. Nice, so it is working right now. Alright guys, so right now, if I add a new task saying like, do homework, and if you notice, finish before 10, I click add, I have a new task, says do homework. The way I did it is, first of all, this is a form, so I have a new task form set up here. Form on submit equals handle submit, and I have input for type and another input for some notes, as you can see here. This is the type, and this is the description. And the onSubmit goes here. First of all, I had to prevent default to let React take control of it instead of HTML itself. Then I have an onAdd property here, which is actually passed down. You guys remember the add task hook here? It gets passed as a prop to new task form onAdd equals add task. And so basically the form takes two strings, name of the task, description of tasks. It takes these two strings and throw those two strings on to the handle submit, and handle submit takes the two strings onAdd, and inside onAdd it is actually the same as add tasks. And if I click the definition of onTask, it creates a new task here, creates a new task, and use the set task hook to update the list of tasks. Alright, you may ask, oh, if I just click submit, how did the two strings get sent to the list of tasks? So it is also done by React hooks using a state hook. These two lines first initialize the state hook, and for the two input fields, the onChange value is the set state for the title and description. So when the user types anything, it automatically updates the title and description, And when the user clicks submit, it takes the last value of the two strings and call on add that takes in the two title and description. And these two are saved outside the scope of here, all the way up here, because initialize is empty. And after it adds, it clears these two. You see this another two set as empty strings, so it clears the two strings for the next input. As you can see on top, these are all use client, which is not ideal because I'm using Next.js, and the Next.js paradigm is to use as much server components as possible. I'm using use client. Wish me luck. Alright, today's December 28th. It is the next day. I made some more progress to the project. So currently, right now the tasks are all sorted in a dummy list. I'm trying to actually sort the task in Supabase. So I just copied some example code from Supabase docs and I wrote these three functions: get task, add task, and toggle task. I'm trying to like implement them right now. Alright, another update. I changed the logic from React to server, and instead of using React hooks, I used the database functions. So right now on the right side, for example, if I had a task, call it KKKK, I'm just lazy, write three nodes, PPPPP, click add, it adds right here, and if I check it, I think I realized is that when I uncheck it, like the order is kind of messed up. I'm trying to fix that later. But right now, if you just look at my main page, you can see like I deleted the props and the custom React hook. And if you go to the actual components, you can see the front end still use the React hook. No. On check equal handle toggle task, this is the actual form, it still use state from React, because when you type in the text box and when you change the text, React has to keep track of the text. However, for the handle submit, it actually calls the server function to add the task to the Supabase database, and I can actually find this is the middleware between the front and the back end. So for example, in form it says on submit equals handle submit, and it calls handle task. And alright, so today is December 29th. I made some new updates to the project. So right now when I finish a task, for example, this task called cook food, where's my mouse? I click it. Right now the task list is sorted by the unfinished task on top, is sorted on bottom by one line. Right now I'm working on user authentication. I'm trying to let the user sign in with email. I just added these two functions I copied from the doc. I'm not sure if it'll work or not. And also I made a new route called login. I'm trying to recycle my add task form to make basically a login form where the user could type in their email and password and just sign up a new user or log in. And once they log in, they can have individual task lists for each user. Alright guys, so right now I can successfully add a user. Alright, so if I type in an email, it has to be a real email, I found out, and I click sign up, you'll see that it actually signed up. And if I go to my Supabase and I refresh the page, you'll see a new user being added to the database. However, the question right now is, once a user is signed in, the user should only see their unique table with their own tasks. And I asked Gemini said I have to use cookies. On the left is my old code, is use client from Supabase.js, then just create a client. On the right side is what Gemini wants me to do. It wants me to like use all these cookie stuff. Alright guys, the task tracking app for code deployment is working. So right now this is the deployment, and I just had a test email and a test password. I click sign up, and then I can add tasks here. I do not know why the add task is not working right now. I'm not really sure. I struggled with why the vertical deployment isn't working for about half an hour, and then I realized I had to put the environment variables into the vertical for it to work. Alright, I fixed why the task is not adding. As you can see right now, I can add tasks, random tasks. Yay, it worked. The reason it worked is that I disabled role level security. I don't know what role level security is or how important it is, but I'm just gonna wing it and call it good. Right now, I can close this, for example, and I just do this again.
It's raps for you, James. What's that sound?
Hey, bro, I can't wait. Bro, I cannot wait that
And if I
long
log
for a
in,
single damn album.
I can see the task I just created.